Oh, I'm tired. This is my Schuberth E2 adventure helmet. So this is pretty much a C5 helmet with the visor built into it. I'm gonna preface this review by saying I paid for this all myself. Um, no sponsorships. So I want to give you an honest owner's review, not like, oh, a shop gave me this, and then here's my 50-mile 1 week review of this helmet. Because I bought this back in May, and now it's August, so I had this for like 6 months, almost, May, whatever, a few months. I'll put more mileage on it than most people do. So I started my trip with 1,400 miles on the bike, and I have like 7,000 right now. So I've probably not by more, about 7,500 miles. It's 11,000 kilometers right now. So, and I bought this helmet before I even got this bike, so I've done the 11,000 miles or 11,000 kilometers plus whatever my old bike. Um, there's only a few things I like about this helmet. So I don't know if it pertains to the C or the C5 as well as just the E2s, but the E2 is based off the C5 Pro or whatever. The only difference is, I think it's just the visor. The rest of the helmet's identical because it uses the same comms, same thing. So I'm gonna start the comms. This is the SC2, I think. It's a bit spendy for what you're getting. And sound-wise, it's fine. I've learned that if I listen to music without headphones or earplugs, it's fine. With earplugs, it's quiet. But I mean, it's just as loud as most other systems on the market. I don't think it's going to be that much quieter or that much louder. The thing I hate about this, it doesn't have pass-through charging. So in layman's terms, if you're riding the bike and the thing decides to die, you can't just plug it in and just keep riding with it charging while you ride. So as soon as you plug it in, turns off. You can't turn it on unless you unplug it again. Don't know why it has this. Most other Sena devices, but this is pretty much a rebranded Sena comm. Most of the other Sena comms, I had like 3 or 4 at this point. Never had this issue. Every time I plugged those in, they would just charge and I can listen. So super annoying, especially since I've been doing like 6 to 10 hour days on the bike. And if you forget to plug it in at night, the next day, like an hour later, it just dies. So you have to sit there and 2-3 hours of riding without music or podcast or anything else. So that's the downside. I don't know if there's a firmware update that can do this, or you can take it out and I don't know, have them update it. The buttons, it's like a 2-piece system. This has a separate battery. It's just a button cell. I already had one die, so they don't last long, which is annoying because I barely use this thing. So and it works independently of this. So this won't turn on unless this is on, and then you manually turn the button on. So this has to be on. You listen to music, and then you want to switch a song or pause. You have to press a button, then it turns on separately. So it doesn't drain battery, but still only lasted me like 3 months or 4 months of like minimal use. So just I think it comes with an extra battery, but I'm on the trip and I didn't grab that one, so I just stopped by Walmart and grab like 2 more. They're not expensive, just your normal button cells, things like $5 a piece. If you get them on Amazon, you can get a 10-pack for like $5 to $8, I think. So decent system. That's the only qualm I have with that. Built-in visor works great, no issues. I wish it was a smidge lower, or maybe like another half centimeter would be great. Because if you have it open, visor open, or you can have just this, and then you have it open. I wish it was just like a tiny bit lower, because every once in a while you get too much airflow, especially if you have this open in your windshield flow. It tends to go, you get too much airflow underneath. So if you're not wearing glasses or something, it's annoying. But works great. It's dark enough to where it's fine. If you have sunglasses and the visor, it's too dark in my opinion. So it works. So I use both, just glasses or the visor. Okay. The second thing that works great on this helmet is the venting. So if it's hot, it vents pretty well. You got one vent, the visor vent, and you get the top vent. The only qualm with the top vent is in the closed position. It's closed, doesn't let any air through. But I found riding with the mid position and open, there's not much of a difference. So it feels like once you get to halfway with the vent, it's just getting blown full air. I don't think I've got any bugs in it yet in the helmet. Maybe once, because I know with the Neotech, the hoods, forehead vents, it's not screened or anything. So if you get a bug in there, it's inside the helmet. So I think it's the same design here. I just haven't been lucky. Visor. You adjusted two things here on both sides, and then you can. This is the top position, and then there's a middle, and then lower. Works great. Kind of annoying, and especially if you're writing, trying to adjust it on the fly. As you can see here, sometimes you have to kind of like get it to go in. I found in the lower position, it's a little too low because it feels like you're wearing like a hat here, and then what happens with this helmet, it tends to droop. So if it droops, it feels like it's covering up a bit too much of my eyesight, so I can have to write like this a bit sometimes. So you're writing like this a little bit, or even like right here. But I mean, unless the sun's directly in my eyes, that's when I have it in low position. Usually I have it in the mid or high during the day, and it's fine. That's where the visor stuff ends on a good side. Here's the annoying part of it. There's a bit of play. So this is fully locked right now. Everything's locked. There's a bit of a play. It doesn't rattle, doesn't make noise, so you don't hear anything. It's just top position is fine. But when it's in that lower position, and you're writing, and you can see it, and it's just doesn't vibrate, but you just visually see it just doing this right here. Especially with the wind blowing, because with the way my windshield's set up, it's blowing air right at that visor. So when you see it just doing this, not a big deal. It's just kind of, I wish that was more refined. And then that's where things end on the good side for this helmet. And this is the reason I want to throw it away. Comes off pretty easy, so if you don't want to write off it, you don't have to. Pretty easy to open up this part. These open up well, vent, decent. Here's where I hate this helmet. Whoever designed this from Schubert, if you're watching, what the hell? I don't know if this is just my helmet or the C5 and the E2 in general. When it was brand new, sure, I'll give it 5 stars. It worked great, no issues. The issue I have now is, as you saw right there, so the two little detents, or there's two little plastic pins that kind of ride in the channel, so they go over and then in when it's fully down, and then they kind of ride back out. So when it was new, it worked fine, but now it has a hard time getting over that hump. So, and then it won't close. So as you see, this side's closed. This side won't go over the hump. Oh, there it is. So it's frustrating, especially if you're writing and you try to just do this with one hand. It doesn't want to open up, and then it doesn't want to close. So you get one side, and then you have to use both hands. What I've learned is that I just have to grab from the top and then pull down in the middle. It's a lot easier when you're actually writing. And then sometimes it works. I don't want to grab in the middle because then it's going to scratch it, but there it goes. But why the hell? I don't know if there's some kind of special grease you can get to lubricate these, but that's super frustrating. And I feel like when you're paying $800 for a helmet, it shouldn't happen. Just why? I mean, maybe expect this from like $300 helmet, something cheap, but for a premium top dollar helmet, why? Why is this an issue? Why wasn't this looked through? And I get some people might not put this kind of mileage or wear and tear on this helmet. I mean, I haven't dropped this or anything, but like, what the heck? That's annoying. Which leads me to point 2 and 3 of why I hate this helmet. Point 2 is this top gasket up here is rubber silicone. What happens is it doesn't seal. So when this helmet's fully closed, and you close all your vents because it's raining or it's cold, it lets water through. So out of the last 21 days of me riding on this trip, 14 or 15 of those have been rain or some form of rain. But I noticed that you get water on the outside normally, whatever. Purpose of the helmet is not to keep water inside, but it starts dripping down, and you notice I don't have a pin lock in, which we'll get to in a moment. But it'll leak onto the pin lock, so it'll leak on the front of the helmet, then in between the helmet and your pin lock, and on the inside of the helmet, on the inside of the pin lock. So all 3 layers wet when it's only supposed to be on the outside. Frustrating as all hell. And point 3, I don't know if it's just my pin lock. It was factory installed first, maybe like 4,000 miles up on this bike, 5,000 miles, no issues. Mostly I would ride it when it's dry. As soon as this trip started, it was starting to rain, and that's when the issues showed up. The pin lock wouldn't seal. So initially, I got a little blob of fogging going on right here, and I'm like, okay, what the hell? Like, I have a pin lock in here. It's factory installed, and shouldn't be having issues. But it would start here, and then eventually it would go down. So like a third of my visor would be fogged out. And I'm like, okay, shouldn't be happening. What the hell? What happened next is so pretty much that gasket on that pin lock, it wouldn't seal here and it wouldn't seal here. And to the people who are like, oh, you should have adjusted these little screws here, I did. I adjusted both sides. And tell you what, the factory ones are trash. I expected to get higher quality ones. They were super stiff, and then I ended up snapping one. So I ended up replacing both of these with aftermarket pin lock pins. And I'll be honest with you, they didn't do shit. So it didn't make it worse or better. They're just pins. So what a pin is, it has like a little, instead of it being in the middle, it's on the side. So when you rotate the pin, it gets tighter or looser with the pin lock, so you can adjust how the angle. So I've tried adjusting it, and it doesn't do anything. So what happens with a pin lock is when it's loose, it would just sit there and you can just move with your finger. And what would happen is it would just ride down. It would stay at the bottom of the visor. So this is no pin lock, and it's frustrating. And then when to the pin lock, it's twice as hard to get that thing closed because it's catching that gasket, and it won't let the helmet close. So whoever designed this at Schuberth, I don't want you to get fired, but if somebody would freaking hit you in the head with a baseball bat a couple times, like, what the hell? Like, this is annoying. And then when the helmet was new, worked great. I'm sure every other reviewer from like a big magazine or whatever never had an issue. But here's a real world issue of actually an owner. That's the issue I'm having. So at this point, I'm so frustrated with it, I don't even want a new helmet. So Schuberth, if you can, I was going to go ahead and contact them and be like, what the heck, see if we can work something out. But at this point, I can't recommend this helmet. Honestly, I'll just go for Shoei. I would just get the Neo Tech 2. If I had to go buy a new helmet right now, I'll just get the Shoei Neo Tech 2. And that's my honest review. I know people have an issue with that helmet as well. It's not perfect, but I'll take Shoei quality that I know it's going to be great and not have any issue. I've never had an issue with Shoei, and I've had a couple of them over the years. But I figured I'd give a Schuberth a try because they're apparently the best flip lids. And sure, the flip lid works great. But the visor is it's just like a 0 out of 10 for me.